1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome into another episode of the Talkin G-MAC podcast. We have two championships to recap this week, and excited to welcome head men's and women's golf coach from the University of Findlay, Dominic Guarneri, on to the podcast this week. Dom, congratulations on two GMAC golf championships over the last week and a half or so.
Thank you. We're super excited and happy to be on the podcast.
Of course. Well, let's start with the women. The women kind of kicked things off for us about a week and a half ago at this point. Your women obviously coming in the favorite once again, able to win their 8th consecutive GMAC tournament title, but had to do so with a lineup that's looking a little bit different maybe than the last few GMAC tournament titles. Walk us through, just the ability and the excitement that surrounds yet another GMAC championship, but also what it takes to be at the top for that long, and to make sure that maybe there isn't some complacency, and there are some new faces on the team this year, and maybe how they've been able to handle everything that comes with women's golf at the University of Findlay.
Yeah. So a little bit different this year than in years past. This was the first time we were allowed to utilize 6 players, which we did. And some new faces. We had 3 girls there actually that hadn't competed in a conference championship. So essentially half of our team. And I think obviously there's some positives to that too. So all 3 of them stepped up, played well. Everybody on the team played well. And in this format, as you know, anything can happen. So we really just preach to them, like, it doesn't matter who we're playing the golf course. And, if we just take care of business the way we know how to, then we should be on the top when the end of it arrives. So we've gotten, over the 8 years, I think this is our 4th or 5th year of the actual medal match play portion. And we've had some super close matches throughout the year. So all have been a little bit different, but they really came to play that last day.
Well, let's talk about, the 54-hole stroke play portion. I think that's really a different segment. I mean, I know that's funny to say, but the mindset even in playing a 54-hole stroke play portion of the tournament and then turning around and playing what is really head-to-head play. What's kind of your mentality? I know you did utilize a substitute and all of that, and we can talk about what that looked like and how, from a coaching perspective, that may change your mindset or even the girls' mindset going into that stroke play portion. But what was kind of the mentality, and what were you hearing from the girls over the course of those day and a half where they're out on the course at Belterra this year?
Yeah. Obviously we know the first day is always going to be long. And both days were this year because of the weather. But, so we really stress to them, like, you're going to hit some shots you don't want to hit, just staying in the moment, staying patient. 36 holes of golf in one day, a lot of golf. And again, we were able to utilize the 6th player. Avery Thompson started the first 18, and then Emma Myers came in for the next 18 on that day. And we had talked the night before about it. I mean, if you look at their stats over the course of the year, like, super close. So we wanted to give them both the opportunity to play in the conference championship, which is great. And then to have our 4 players, we had 4 players, the other 4 finish it 2nd through 5th, essentially, played really well. Some of them maybe not as well as they like, but I always tell them, like, it's golf, and we just told them, be ready for, when we found out about the next day being 36 as well, because we the last day due to the weather. So they're just always, we talk all the time about just being mentally tough and not worrying about things you can't control. And that's what they did. And they came to play and were ready to go for that stretch of 72 holes in 2 days.
Yeah, and you mentioned the weather. For those who are unfamiliar, ba- basically due to impending weather of rain and things like that, we did decide to move the medal match portion up to Friday so that we would hopefully get it all in and not have soaked golfers and have to have them play in pouring down rain. So it was two back-to-back 36 hole days, and I think looking at the scores, all six of your girls played well, but it seemed like during that medal match play portion, they really turned up the heat, and a lot of them posted kind of their best 18 hole score
Yeah.
that they had of the day. What changes or what could potentially change in a situation where you're playing 54 holes, you're playing five, you're scoring four. There may be mentally the knowledge that, okay, maybe if I don't have my best day, somebody's going to be there to pick me up. But you don't really have that when you get to the medal round. You really got to get your points, or hopefully at least tie to get half the point. You guys won at 4.5, so it was certainly you guys to lose at that point. But how does the mentality change when you go from the 54 hole portion to the medal round?
Again, I think one of the things you alluded to, the biggest thing is everybody counts, so no matter what, like your goal is to try to get a point for your team. And especially in that format, like, I mean, the swings. I mean, we had a girl standing on 9T or on 10T, two down, and standing on 12T, six up. I mean, so like the swing, that's why we tell them, like, you have to stay in it no matter what. You never know what can happen. And even in years past, we've seen two or three shot swings on the last hole. So again, the familiarity of being familiar with that format, I think helps us. And, it is whether you want to preach that it's the same or not, you're still going out there 1v1 and trying to shoot a better score than the person you're playing. So it is different no matter how much I try to tell them, like, it's the same. It's you still got to get the ball in the hole. But I mean, everybody they all know where they stand in their matches, and so that again, it's a different format. It's exciting, and I think our girls really that last 18 holes really wanted to kind of prove that the stroke play portion that we won by a significant amount was valid, and they really came to play. So
Yeah, you guys were defeated Ashland by 33 strokes in the stroke play. I think there may be some misconception sometimes that big of a lead in the stroke play portion may lead to some future telling as to what might happen in the medal round. And you alluded to it at the very beginning. It doesn't always. There have been larger leads that you all may have had in this situation, and it has come down to potentially a playoff or a half a point or something
correct.
like that decides the championship. What is it about the medal round that is just so exciting in that standpoint, and why can there be, from your standpoint as someone who's seen this at this level and at the national level, why can there be so much discrepancy between the two formats?
I think again, like obviously all five, just the mindset of every player knowing they're counting. So I think it's added pressure for sure. And in golf, I mean, we always say this, coaches, in the coaching community, like 18 holes of golf at this level, like the competition's so good. I mean, anybody can beat anybody on 18 holes of golf. It's sort of like, in other sports where if you're just playing one game, the longer you play, I mean, over 54 holes, we feel like the better teams will rise to the top. But when you're playing one round and head to head, like literally anything can happen. And the excitement of every match coming to 18, no matter where it stands, I think is really exciting. And like I said, just you know the matches that can change literally in 20 minutes, the strokes that can go back and forth. So it just makes it super exciting, and our girls love playing in it, and other coaches I've talked to, they love it. And I also think just the fact that it brings a multitude of teams into play. Again, like you said, we beat Ashland by 33 shots in the stroke play, but they could have easily that medal match play round beating us. I mean, and the competition is definitely increasing on the women's side, which we love to see.
Well, you win the conference championship, which means you knew you were going to get an automatic bid to the NCAA East Regional. All of that kind of came to fruition last night with all of those teams uh, getting kind of played out, all the individuals. We know where everybody's going. In a unique fashion this year, you all are hosting that regional at Findlay Country Club at your home course. Talk to us about this event and the opportunity for your girls to be involved in yet another regional tournament, but to be able to do it at home in Findlay, sleep in their own beds, kind of maybe have a more normal routine because there is a lot on the line. There's a trip to what you all hope is another national champ or national tournament run, and I think being able to do it on a course that they are so familiar with, obviously, is an added benefit.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, we're super excited about being able to host the regionals at Finley. Um, again, we're gonna really stress it's we're gonna prepare like any other tournament, but at the end of the day, like they know it's at their home golf course, a little added pressure. It is great to see like four teams from our conference be represented. Because there's six conferences that make up our region, and for us to have four teams there is awesome, and to have the number one individual qualifier. So a lot of representation from the GMAC and teams that are familiar with the golf course, which hopefully helps not only us but them too. The stronger that our conference gets, I think the better for everybody. And we're really excited. I was out at Findlay the other day. It's in fabulous shape. The rough is going to be nasty, so that'll be interesting. But again, it's about staying patient and just controlling the things you can control. And we're really excited to be able to host it here at Findlay.
Well, it has become something that you all have been putting on your calendar for quite some time, and that is that trip to the national tournament. It's something that you all have been able to be a part of for the last several years there at Findlay on the women's side, taking place in Orlando, I believe, down in Florida. So obviously, would love a trip to the beach, right? Love a trip to nice, sunny, warm to Florida. But when you talk about the way that the postseason works in golf, you obviously get the opportunity to play a medal round in the conference tournament. That's not the format of the regional. And then you turn around and it's sort of an extended format of the conference tournament at the national tournament. How, from a coaching perspective, do you kind of prepare your girls to kind of ebb and flow when it comes to what the mindset is? Because we've talked about that a little earlier, that it does change. How do you kind of handle their ebb and flow of moving through the postseason like that?
Right. So we get back into the mindset of, the 3 rounds at regionals are stroke play. So treat them very similar to pretty much every tournament we play throughout the year. And then once hopefully on to the national championship, I'm a little bit superstitious. I don't really like to talk about it that much, but obviously that's where we want to get to. And we've had the opportunity to where half of our team has experienced medal match play at conference and at nationals before. So, again, it's kind of the same thing. Like you said, if we make it to the nationals, 3 rounds of stroke play, get in the top eight, extend 3 matches to get to 2 matches and then the finals. So, I think what we do at conference really prepares us, in the back a few years ago when we won in 22, like we literally won at the GMAC off of a tiebreaker. And I mean, just the value of that, like being in that pressure situation helped us immensely when we got to the national championship.
When you think about, and you talked about some of the familiarity that some of your girls have with the format, and how important are the upperclassmen and the girls on this team who've experienced some of the things that they may have to experience moving forward in the postseason for some of your team who hasn't been there? And what are some of those conversations like? Golf is by and large somewhat of a mental madness game where we've hopefully those of you who have out there probably get as upset as themselves as I do, which that's why I could never put myself in this position. But how do you hope that some of those girls with that experience are able to help the girls who don't have it throughout this postseason journey?
Yeah, I mean, just we have really good leadership on this team with our girls, and just talking to them. I mean, they had kind of their own meeting even before the when we had that quick turnaround at GMAC. I mean, 20-30 minutes, but still, like Haley, Ashley, Ellie, had been in that situation before. Sat down and just talked to them briefly about what it takes, what it means. So I just can't say enough about the leadership of the girls that have been in this situation in the past. And just understanding, like I said, you essentially are changing formats like immediately. Um, so I mean, I only think that that's going to help us going forward. And again, the leadership that we have from these girls has been awesome.
Well, I want to ask you a little bit about Ashley. I think she's sort of had what I mean, I'm going to consider personally a little bit of a breakout year for herself. As she's done very well, ranked in the top 10 nationally, won several tournaments, and, may not have had her best 54 hole score over the conference tournament, but really turned it around there in medal match play and shot the lowest score of the day there, I think, with a 67. So, can you talk a little bit about her and her leadership? I know all three of those girls who have returned, who were on last year's championship team and made a national run are important. But can you talk a little bit about Ashley and what she's been able to bring to the table this year?
Yeah. Obviously, like you said, kind of a breakout year. She's won 4 times this year. But really she's matured so much as a leader off the golf course too. And she was I mean, I'd be lying if I say she wasn't disappointed about her 54 holes, but we had a nice little conversation in the 18th fairway of her 54th hole, and I said, you need to step up this afternoon for your team. And, like you said, I mean, the round she played in the medal match play was bogey free, awesome. Um, so she's really just kind of come into her own, gained a ton of confidence, and I mean, she worked really hard over the summer and in the winter months, between fall and spring. So just to see what she's done in the last 12 months has been exceptional, and we're excited to have her for this postseason run and then again all of next year. So
Well, we're certainly excited to see what happens in a couple weeks during the East Regional at Findlay Country Club. And know you guys are doing a lot of work behind the scenes, so it's not easy to put all of that on. But we certainly will be wishing you and all of our teams and individuals the best of luck, and looking forward to maybe sending a couple more to nationals this year. That's always great for the GMAC. But
yes, it
as
is.
we wrap up the women, I want to turn our attention to the men now. Um, I think having the women go first and then seeing the men, I think obviously some difference in yardages and things like that. But it did feel like maybe the men, the course played a little bit harder for them than maybe it did the women on those first couple of days. I think there was some wind potentially, maybe not for you all in the Finley group, but just overall. How do you feel like over that 54 hole stroke play portion, your men, how would you assess what they were able to accomplish? And what advantage, I guess, do you have kind of seeing the course, having both genders under your belt? How does that kind of, from a coaching perspective, change when you get to that second tournament, I guess,
Yeah.
that we hold?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I would say that the biggest similarities are on and around the greens, like how the ball reacts, things like that. But when you're playing it 1,000 yards longer, the driving lines are different. I mean, it's just a different game. They're hitting it 300 yards off the tee, and it did start it firmed up as the week, even for the women, it firmed up all throughout the week. Didn't quite get as much rain, I think, as we thought on Saturday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for the guys, it was getting firm out there. But yeah, just again, being able to be on the golf course obviously helps. And like I said, just we do a lot. Me and our assistant coach Steve Mulcahy, we do a lot on and around the greens, which obviously helps being there with the women before. So that's kind of where we put a lot of our effort into because it's things we might have seen in the past, even though the whole locations change and things like that.
Yeah, well, you obviously, your men also came out on top of the 54 hole stretch, to be the top seed in medal play. you also were awarded the medalist honors for Finley. Your freshman, Ross Dietz, um, had a heck of a 54 hole event. He shot one under for his 54 hole stroke play and shot a 68 as his low round. To do that as a freshman, it hasn't been done since 2018. And it's been a long time since somebody who's kind of in their first year of all of this to do all of that. What can you say about Ross's performance, and not only him individually, but what that was able to do to help propel you guys to that top seed in medal play?
Yeah, so it was pretty what Ross did this past week was awesome to see. One, his first round, he wasn't hitting it well. Um, Coach Steve was with him the entire round, and they were, fighting for every shot. He got it in at 74, and then the last two rounds he really turned it up a notch. And we always talk as a team about like getting the ball in the hole when you don't have your best stuff, and he's learned so much over the year. Um, and it was kind of nice. We were, I was joking with the guys, but like after he got done, he had no idea where he stood, which in this day and age is pretty rare. But we were fortunate we didn't have to do any of the scoring for the entirety of the tournament. And I told the guys like they weren't allowed to look at their phones during play, and he had no idea on the 18th hole. When he hit it to a foot, I said, "You got a 3-shot lead," and I mean, he was just it was awesome. The guys that were finished, big congratulations to him, and to be a freshman and do it like you said, it hasn't happened since 2018, and the kid that won in 2018 turned out to be a really good player. So, the future is really bright for him, and it helped us, secure the number one spot for the 54 holes. We had 4 guys in the top 7, which again, pretty awesome stuff to see. And I felt like that 54 holes really helped us. And I'm sure once we start talking about the medal match play, we were struggling early on, but yeah, so it was good. It was great to see a freshman take the title, and just his composure and what he was able to accomplish was awesome.
Well, you alluded to it right there. That's the next part that we've got to talk about. It is the match play, and you all like we mentioned came out on top, so you get the one seed. You go through the rigmarole of putting the lineup together, and you're facing Ashland again on the men's side. And it wasn't so, like you alluded to, cut and dry maybe as the women were, who kind of put themselves out to a pretty strong lead pretty early. This one was actually, for all intents and purposes, kind of a come from behind, which is funny to say because things are moving and shaking. But there was a decent period of time there where Ashland was up on you all, or maybe things were tied, or so it was kind of bobbing and weaving back and forth. And I think that's probably a blessing and a curse because we have the live scoring. Everyone knows where they stand.
Yeah.
And if you're winning or losing your match, and who also is winning and losing their matches. Um, and so it's always that kind of first to three. That may not be the first three matches, right? So we're all kind of racing to see. And with only 5 twosomes out there, they kind of play pretty quick. So they're kind of coming in one right after another. But walk us through. What you and Steve were seeing out there with the guys, and really their ability to lock in there at the end and grab some really pivotal points for you all, to be able to win the men's side of all of this.
Yeah, so, again, we played the front nine the worst we had played it all week, but I also did know in the back of my mind, like, I was the night before looking at the 54 holes, and we had played the back nine better than any team by a lot. So I felt if we were within striking distance, even if we got off to a rough start, obviously it wasn't the start that we wanted. Ashland really put us to the test. They got a young team that's really getting better. They had, I think, 4 sophomores and 1 senior in their top 5, and Coach North is doing an awesome job over there. And I knew it wasn't going to be easy. And I also think some of the guys, I mean, we got absolutely destroyed last year on a landslide, after playing really good in the stroke play portion. And I think that was, I mean, it's hard not to think about that. The guys that were there the year before, Ross obviously got off to a great start and never trailed in the match, ended up winning pretty significantly. And we had put Luke and Colin out as our first two guys, just knowing that they had experience, and we essentially were trying to get the first 3 points. That was kind of our strategy. Um, and both Luke and Carter in the second match were really struggling on the front nine, and two of the best players probably in the conference. But it's golf, right? So, again, me and Luke had a little conversation on when he got to hole 11, and we just said the team needs you, and you got to forget about what's happened the last 2 hours. And he birdied 13, and then had a strong finish, and then Colin was super steady all day, and the kid that he was playing really. That was by far the best match of the day. It was the first match. Collins one up going to 18. They both hit it on the green and two, and both two putt, and we secured that point. And even our two guys that lost, they never stopped fighting. They were in their matches all the way up until the end. They battled back, got some strokes back. But again, to really just see how they handled the adversity of playing, no other way to put it, but just playing awful on the front nine and turning it around. And sometimes that's what you got to do to come out on top. And that's, again, the beauty of this format. So
When you talk about last year, and certainly don't want to dwell on things that have happened before, but you know, having the knowledge that things didn't end the way that they wanted it to end last year, and wanting the opportunity maybe at redemption, even though it's not the same team, but they want to bring that trophy back to Finley. They don't want to see it lost again. How much does that affect when you're playing in the metal match play? We've talked so much about how your mentality changes. How much does the other times that you've played in metal match affect what you've learned, maybe in a positive way, or potentially in a way that may not be so positive from a coaching standpoint, because you probably don't want your guys thinking about something that they lost in the previous year, but it's not how every tournament is structured. So all they have is the experiences that they've had prior to all of this. So from the guys' perspective, where do you feel like, or how do you kind of manage that as their coach when they're out there, to really get them to like you said, kind of lock in and get as many points, whether it's a half a point. Sometimes two halves make a whole, and that's what
yeah,
that's what wins a game, right? So, or wins a
exactly.
match. So how do you kind of, I guess, stem the tide a little bit with them when they're out on the course, to not get so involved in what is happening from hole to hole?
Yeah. I mean, we stress over and over again to them, like, one shot at a time. You can't control what happened an hour ago, and you can't control what's going to happen an hour from now. So, like, we tell them, you know, our focus is, we always say no shots off. So no matter what the format is, no matter what the situation is, like, we don't take any shots off, because again, at the end of the day, like, we've stressed, and really Coach Steve has stressed to them, our first two tournaments, we lose by 3 shots the first tournament, we win by 2 shots our second tournament of the spring. And like, that's kind of where we started, this no shots off. And like, if everybody can probably look back and say, man, if I one shot here and there. And then we've our men have really, this is the best spring I feel like we've ever had. We've won 4 times. Um and, when they're out there in metal match play and you do get behind early, like, it's hard to have that mindset, because, you might want to get a little bit greedy and try to, quote unquote, try to start making birdies to catch back up. But it's about staying patient, and you still have to play 18 holes. So that's really what we stress to them throughout the day.
Well, your men, things on the men's side, all of that worked itself out with the regional qualifying coming out last night. Your men will be traveling up to Ferris State for that regional. What does that process look like? I know they're a different team; it's a different group of individuals. How do you prepare them to hopefully put themselves in the position to find themselves playing golf longer?
So, it will be a little bit different for them as we prepare, because the 3 days before they leave, they're not gonna be able to be on Findlay Country Club. So we're still kinda working out. We're gonna practice and play a lot there this week. Hopefully go a couple other places next week as we prepare. Uh, you know, and again, it's a little bit similar to how we prepared for the conference championship too, because again, me and Coach Steve will be with the girls during the regional, just like we were at conference with the girls. So they know what we expect, and they know how to prepare, and I mean, they've already started to get ready for regionals, and we're super excited about going up there and playing at Ferris State. And again, I feel like this is a team that this spring has really made so much improvement from the fall, and we're really excited about where everybody's game's at right now, and hopefully we go up there and can make some noise.
Awesome. Well, it's going to be a lot of golf for you over the next few weeks. Hopefully, even longer for both. We would love to see multiple teams make both national tournaments. That's always our hope here at the conference office, because that's finally when we get to cheer for you guys, not when you're playing each other, because that's a
Yeah.
lose-lose for us, right? I guess, or a win-win. But no, we always love postseason time because we can really cheer for you guys as you're kind of playing other folks. But um, Dom, congratulations once again on both tournament titles, and best of luck in both regionals, and best of luck with your hosting responsibilities at Fenway Country Club. It's a beautiful course, and I know everyone who hasn't been there will enjoy their time there. So we appreciate your time today as well, and like I said, best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you, and thanks for all you guys do and the conference. And we hope to represent the GMAC on both the men's and women's side, and hopefully get both teams to the final step. That's our goal.
Welcome to the Great Midwest Athletic Conference, where greatness is achieved from heart-stopping moments to incredible teamwork and unyielding determination. This is more than a conference. It's a community of excellence where academic success meets athletic prowess and future leaders are forged. The Great Midwest Athletic Conference. Building character through competition.
We're happy now to be welcomed in by Raul Quevedo, the head men's tennis coach at Northwood University and our newly crowned men's tennis tournament champions. Raul, congratulations on a wonderful showing this weekend in Owensboro. And how excited are you to bring a men's tournament championship back to Midland?
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I mean, it was an amazing weekend. It's been a great season with the guys, and yeah, I'm super proud of them and the work that they've put all this year and how hard they fought this weekend. It was an amazing experience.
Well, I want to go back and take in the entirety of the tournament. You come down and it's warm. It's a hot weekend in Owensboro. Just talk me through what that mentality was like, how you prepare for tournament play, how you prepare for the beginning of the postseason, knowing that you're going to see some familiar teams, but knowing that there's so much on the line when it comes to the automatic bid to the NCAA Midwest Regional.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good question. So it's pretty tricky because we're up here in Midland and quite far north in Michigan, so we don't get to play outdoors as much as we would like to or we should. So I was just trying to prepare them the best we could, put them in the best situation. So we actually came down on Wednesday, even though we didn't start until Friday. So we could have two practices, get a bit more used to the heat and the conditions. And I think that helped us, just specifically from tennis. And other than that, the mentality of just fighting really hard and never giving up and trying to compete as hard as they can. But I mean, all credit to them. They really wanted this. And like I said at the beginning, they've really worked hard this year. They've been going on, putting the extra hours. So they deserve it and they were ready for it.
Well, when we go back to Friday's match against Finley, a pretty close match in that sense as well. Walk me through, getting back out on the court, right? You had that bye, so you're potentially you have that opportunity. So, how do you prepare for that, and walk us through kind of what that match was like, and knowing that it's win or go home, right? You want to continue to extend your season, and you want the opportunity to play in the GMAC championship game if you can. But how did you kind of walk your guys through a hotly contested contest against the Oilers?
Yeah, so it's like you said, we had the bye, and I knew Finley was playing the day before. So I think actually that can work out to your advantage if you play the day before, because we're still practicing, but it's it's hard to recreate that tension. So the day before practice, we played quite a lot of points to try to get them in that mindset. But still, Finley played a match, so it's completely different. And they're probably going to be a bit more ready. And that's kind of what happened. They took the doubles point, even though we won the doubles point in the regular season. So we started down, and I think the doubles point, it's really the most important point because it kind of sets the tone and the momentum. But after that, we regrouped, and I think it was some of the best singles performance that they've put all year. So we lost at 2, but then the other matches that we won at 1, 3, 4, and 5, they were straight sets. And I mean, I don't want to say easy, but I think we were in control of those matches. So the guys played amazing. It was probably some of the best singles performance that we've had all year. So yeah, it was good. And Finley's a tough opponent. We actually lost to them last year in the first round, and it was the exact same situation. We were the 2 seed and they were the 3 seed, and we lost to them 4-0 in the first round. So we had a new team and a lot of new guys, but we brought it up and how we wanted to prepare differently and wanted to be better in that first round.
Well, you get that victory over Finley, and it's a 1-2 championship game, which maybe what was expected on paper. You're familiar with these teams when you come to this tournament. You played them all year, so I don't know how many secrets anyone can have on either side. But preparing for a game against Tiffin like you were, and what ended up becoming really just a grind to get those 4 points on Saturday. Walk us through the preparation for Tiffin, and kind of the mindset to try and take down the number 1 seed in the tournament.
Yeah. I mean, we played them in the regular season, and it was extremely close match too. It was 4-3, and the deciding match we were up 5-3, so we're a couple points away from winning, which is the exact same thing that happened in the tournament, but the opposite. So we know they're really good. I think they had won 4 years in a row the tournament. They're a really solid team, experienced. And in terms of preparation, we know the lineups before, so basically we were playing the exact same people we played in the regular season, except for 5 and 6. So just talking to the guys and making sure they understood the things that they did well or maybe not so good when we played them the first time. And just knowing that the conditions are also a bit different because we played them indoors in Midland, and it was pretty windy all weekend in Owensboro, so slightly different conditions. So just making sure that they were making the adjustments. And other than that, they always make fun of me because I always say this, but just being ready for the battle. So knowing that it can be a battle, it can be 2 or 3 hours, and it can be a lot of changes of lead or changes in emotions, and just being prepared for anything that the day was going to bring. And that's actually exactly what happened. That and we were winning some matches and ended up losing those, and a couple matches that were done, we ended up winning with match points even, and that was all it took for them really to battle until the last point.
When you're in a tightly contested contest like it was on Saturday, you mentioned the doubles point and how important that is. That set the tone early, and then Tiffin and singles action really quickly took a 2-1 lead, and so you were really you had to rely on some of your guys to step up. What does it say about them, knowing that it was kind of a back and forth battle, for them to be able to come out on top, and for them to show some resiliency in being able to get some wins when they needed them to get to those 4 points?
Yeah. I think first of all, the doubles point, it was huge because we were down at number 1 doubles. We saved four match points on serve, so it was really one shot away from losing. So, like you said, resiliency and never giving up, and just having faith in themselves and knowing that they've put in the work. And I think that's the best way to feel prepared, knowing that you've worked hard and you've prepared and you've put yourselves in the best position that you can. And then in singles, yeah, I mean, honestly, at one point I was looking, we were down 2-1, and a couple of the courts were not looking very good, and I just didn't really see how we're gonna get that 4th point. But then our number 2 singles, Andre, who is actually a freshman, he was down 6-3, 5-2, 15-40, I think, and he just kept fighting. He kept working. He got a game, he got 2 games, he got 3 games, and then things got evened up. And then that's when I think it's the big pressure too, right? When everyone's watching and the whole team and the whole match is coming down to you, and despite being a freshman, he stepped up and he was fearless. And then all the team had their back too. Everyone was cheering for him, super invested in the match. So when he won it all, it was amazing to see that clinch.
It's Northwood men's first tournament title since 2015. It's their first ever GMAC title. What was it like coming back to campus and having the trophy with you and the hats and the t-shirts and above all of that, knowing that you're going to get the opportunity to extend your season, you get to kind of give out a sigh of relief when it comes to the regional selection show. You may not know where you're going to fall, but you know that you're going to be there, and then you know that you're going to get the opportunity to play no matter what comes down to it when it comes to the postseason.
Yeah, it's been super nice going back to campus. So Northwood tennis actually has a lot of history. So I think in the 90s and early 2000s they won something like 20 conference tournaments in a row. So no, that's the standard that they want us to set and that we want to set and try to get back to that. So yeah, after we won, my phone was blowing up, calls from everyone, from people that have been in the program or have played for the program, coaches. So everyone has been really supportive all along the way, really, not just when we won. I think the support has been great on campus. So I think people were generally happy for us and for the team because they see them every day, and we knew we had a good chance, but it's still, you have to perform on the big moments. And yeah, I think going back to regionals or playing in regionals, this is my third year here, and this is the first time we're going to play regionals with the men's team. We've played with the women's one year, but we know it's a great opportunity to go to the NCAAs to represent the school, and I think we can compete with the best of the best. So just a lot of belief in the guys, and really excited to go out there and play and see what we can do.
You mentioned some of the newness and that this is a newer group, and you had a freshman really step up and help you guys win that tournament title. What is it about this group, and what is it maybe something that we can't see on paper that aren't in the national rankings, that aren't in the singles or doubles points or any of the records that we can see? What is it about this group that may make them special, that's maybe propelled them to this point in the season?
Yeah. First of all, half our team is new from last year. So we had 4 freshmen overall and a transfer who hasn't played for Northwood before. And I think that actually helped us, because sometimes when you've played the same teams a lot of times or you've lost to them a lot of times, it's kind of hard. But for them, I think they went in with little expectations, or some of them, I think they don't even understand what the conference tournament is and the regionals. They just go out there and they play tennis and they're excited to go out there and compete hard. And I think that played to our advantage. But something that's different, I think I've already said it a few times, but it's how much they want it and how much they really love the game of tennis and improving together. So with NCAA rules, we have a lot of days that we can practice, or we have to take time off for finals or mandatory days off. But a lot of times I would just drive and I would see them out there on the courts, or I would see them in the indoor tennis center that we have in town. Maybe we've trained 6 days that week and we played a match the day before, and they'll be out there playing, or they'll be there and training in the gym at any time. So I just think how much they love the game of tennis and how much they want to improve. I think that's one of the biggest reasons that they've been successful, and we've come this far.
Well, Raul, we want to extend our congratulations again to you and the men's tennis program on all the success this year and your tournament title. And we wish you all the best of luck. We love to see as many GMAC teams on both the men's and the women's side as we can in the NCAA tournament. So we'll wish you best of luck as you kind of await your fate with the regional selection show upcoming and in the regional tournament when you make that trip.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on.
From court to court and lane to lane, under the lights or under the sun, no one delivers Division II sports like NCAA.com. The center of D2 is inside the NCAA.com hub, with exclusive highlights of every sport and live broadcasts of every Division II championship found nowhere else. Make NCAA.com yours, the home of Division II college sports.
Welcome back. We're pleased to welcome Jeff Westmeyer, head tennis coach at the University of Findlay, to the podcast today. And Jeff, congratulations on a women's tennis title that you were able to win over the weekend down in Owensboro, Kentucky.
Thank you. It was a great experience.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that. It had been a few years since your women had been able to capture that title for the last time, and to be able to put themselves on top and to do it in the way that they were able to do it. What does that say about this year's program and the success that you all have seen in the regular season, and kind of being able to culminate that with the start of the postseason with a GMAC tournament title?
We have an experienced group. We won the regular season last year as well. And the finals last year, Tiffin came out and played an amazing match. And this year, our seniors were definitely focused on making sure that no one caught us by surprise this year. They've been leading all year. Our seniors, like the whole team, just was focused the whole year. This is something really important for us to win the conference tournament after the heartbreak it lost last year. And they just worked all year. We weren't going to be surprised this year. They were motivated and ready to play. I know the scores don't look close, but we had to beat some really quality teams, and we had to be ready to play to do that. And then the next goal, going into the postseason, like that's a goal that the team had, the players had. They want to see if we can get past regionals. We've been to the NCAA regionals the last 4 years, and that's something we want to try to get over that hump and see if we can go to nationals.
Well, in saying that, when you look at the scores, they're both 4-0 sweeps of your two tournament matches that you had to play. Maybe to you all's knowledge or to you all's recollection of all of that, maybe it was a little bit closer than that. Can you talk about those two matches that you played down in Owensboro, and not only what it means to get those wins because it meant a tournament championship, but how maybe it does prepare you to play that kind of competition this late in the season and be maybe put to the test regardless of what the score says as you prepare for what you hope is a long postseason run?
Yeah, so our first match against Walsh, they have they're a dangerous team. They have a lot of quality players, and if you don't come prepared, they can surprise you. Um, you know, tournament play and NCAA play, like conference tournament and NCAA play, is different. There's a different level of excitement and emotion, and there's no way to prepare for that besides just actually having the experience of doing it. And so we have some young players, we have some older players that provide leadership, and they've been through it. I was concerned the first match, we got a bye, and Walsh came out and beat a really good Hillsdale team in a close match. And they had the ability, if we weren't ready, to beat us and get 4 points. And so it was good to get through the first match. And then, playing in a tournament is different. The nerves are different. You got to learn how to deal with it and just how to deal with the emotions. And that's what we were able to do. And then the same thing in the finals. Tiffin is very strong. They're one singles and one doubles. They have a conference player of the year. And then for us to come out and just play unbelievable. Anna, we had played them the week before and she got beat pretty badly. And then she came back focused and found a way to turn that match around to get to a really strong player. And then we just played good all the way up and down the lineup. And that's our goal. Like, we're going to lose some matches, but we want to compete at every spot. And we want to, if we get beat, that's okay, but we want to be able to compete at every spot. And if we do that, we can beat anyone. And so, from a mental standpoint, that's what we got to be able to do, is compete at every spot.
Well, when you talk about those two matches and the kind of that first, the welcoming of both of that is always those double points, and
Yes.
Anna Maria and Audrey are an 18th ranked duo, and obviously you can get yourself out on the right foot when it comes to that doubles play. How important are those two doubles games, and how important was it for Anna Maria and Audrey to kind of set the tone for you guys in that game with Walsh, and then again with Tiffin, to be able to pick up those points?
Our doubles has been a strength for us all year. We've won all 20 of our doubles points. It's something we focus on, the players focus on. They take a lot of pride in that. Anna and Audrey, they've been as high as 2 in the country. In the last 2 weeks, they happened to lose to Walsh at doubles, and they lost to Tiffin last week in doubles, and they came out and turn those matches around, which is vital for us, especially in the finals. They've been playing unbelievable. There's always good doubles in our region and our conference. We've had quite a few teams ranked nationally. They set the tone, but also our second doubles team, I think they have 29 wins this year as a team. They could play one doubles for probably 95% of the teams in the country. And then our 3 doubles, they just battle. Our 3 doubles, Polina has been nationally ranked last year, playing with Val, who's playing 2 doubles. And then Masha, as freshman, is getting better every week in doubles. And Polina has provided a lot of help with that at 3 doubles. And then at 2, Val and Eva just have been unbelievable. They got nationally ranked for a week or 2. It's just hard for them to get the ranking points playing 2. But honestly, our goal is to have 3 doubles teams that can play 1 doubles for other teams. So we work at it, and it sets the tone. It's only 1 point, but it's the first one, and it sets the tone for the match overall. And we have focused. That's been a priority for us since I started here, and we've had success with that. And this team just finds a way to win in doubles. If someone's having a bad match, someone else picks it up. And to be honest, it's been an amazing year for doubles. I didn't expect us to win every doubles point this year, and we carried it through. But yeah.
Well, in saying that, knowing that you are tournament champions, that you're going to see an automatic bid to the regional. That we're still awaiting that selection show and where all the cards may fall. But when it comes to the importance of winning the tournament, what kind of pressure and how much momentum can you take from a tournament title, knowing that you've extended your season heading into the regional tournament with a bunch of teams that you're pretty familiar with most of the time?
Yeah, I mean, we've played everybody, I think, but one team in the top 10 in the region. Momentum's always a great thing. You want to keep winning. Winning's fun. It's more fun than losing. It's good to go win twice in tournament play when the stakes are the highest, and it's going to help prepare us for the regional. I know last year losing in the conference final, I think it had an effect on us for the NCAA regionals. I wish it hadn't. But for us to go in, it gives our team a lot of confidence, and gives us we're going to go in there having won, and we've got a streak going, and we don't want it to stop. And it gives us a lot of confidence because it's different. It's just tournament play is different. It's not always who's better; it's who's mentally tougher, and this is going to give us confidence going forward. And we're looking forward to regionals.
You mentioned an experienced group. I look at these names, and several have been a part of your team for several years. They've been to G-MAC tournaments. They've been to regional tournaments. When you talk about that, for the ones who have been and the ones who are returning, how much benefit do they get having been in situations like winning and losing G-MAC tournament games, winning and losing regional tournament games? What can they take away from their experience as you guys head into the postseason?
Yeah, I would tell you, we have 2 seniors who've been with us 4 years. They've been to 4 regionals. That's invaluable. Again, it's a different experience. They know what to expect. So when those nerves come, they know they're coming. You can't run away from them. You have to deal with them. And then, our other senior, this will be her second year with us at the regionals. We have a junior that's been to 3 regionals. This will be her third. We have a sophomore that's been to a regionals. And so when that emotion hits, they've experienced and they've had a chance to deal with it before. And so it's going to be, I think it's an advantage to us in that we have so many people that played, and it's just different. And, either you win or your season's over, and that's a different pressure. And we have goals. the team does. And so I think it helps us. Like, we're not going to be surprised when it happens. You know, the first year we went, we were just happy to be there. 4 years ago, it wasn't anybody on this group, you know, and they came away like, oh, we can win now. Like, they realized, like, they were happy to go, and then they, after the match, they're like, oh, we can win these matches. And so each year we've gotten better. And you know, sometimes it takes a loss for you to get over the hump and win, and this team's ready to do it. And we're just going to control what we can, but in our effort and how we play and deal with emotions. But they've dealt with them before, so it's going to be a little. It's not going to be new, and so that's going to help.
When you look at this group, and we talked about their experience, but I think there's a lot of times we look a lot at what happens on paper. We look at singles and doubles records. We look at rankings. We look at a lot of things. What's something that we can't find on paper about this Findlay team that has maybe potentially propelled them to the place that they are at this point in the season, ready for what's next when it comes to regionals?
They do a lot together. They eat together in the dining hall, all of them. They eat with the men's team. They eat together. They do a lot. I mean, we had a group go on a trip to Las Vegas over Thanksgiving break together. I've never heard of that from a team. They did that on their own. And they fight. They want to win. They know what it takes. You know, and they like to win, and they're going to compete. But from a standpoint, like, this has been their goal the whole year. Like, we came into this year with these goals: win the conference title, and then see if we get the nationals and see what happens. And so, you know, prior teams, you know, when we first started going to the NCAA tournament, they were happy to be there. This team isn't happy to be there. Their goals are bigger, and they're motivated. And, you know, we've been treating the season, you know, that way for the last, you know, 2 weeks ago. I'm like, listen, we got to keep strength training. We got to keep getting better, because if things go the way we want, we've got another 6 weeks, not another 2 weeks. And so they're motivated to do it and move on and do great things. And that's where we've been. And, you know, stuff you don't see off the court as well. Like, they do a lot together. And I think it builds trust and bonding. And, I also want to plug the women's team had a 3.86 GPA in the fall, which is very exciting. The players graduate, and that's the number one thing. So we have smart players that compete hard.
Yeah, very exciting. Well, when you look at the season, and I think some of our quote unquote individual sports are you know, they're a little bit different. You have your fall, you have your spring, which is your championship, and then you kind of have this mini extra season, which is the postseason. How do you, as their coach, work them through the workload that is playing basically year round, but also do you do anything different? Do you talk to them differently? How do you prepare them for the mountain that is trying to get to nationals and trying to compete there and potentially win a national championship?
Yeah, I think the importance is to set the goal early, like from the very first meeting. Like, this is our goal. We're not looking to peak in March. We're looking to peak in late April and May at the conference tournament and the NCAA tournament. So when they look at the season, they're not looking at the season ending this last weekend. They're looking, all right, we got more work to do. From a coaching standpoint, it's important. You got to manage the burnout. Like, they get tired during the season. So when they get tired, you know, when you see them getting tired, like, we add an extra day off, we pull back from practice. You know, our strength coach, we pulled back from strength training, you know, when we're going a couple days a week. Now we're down to one, but we still got to keep strong. But we also got to manage the burnout. And then we try to keep them fresh. You know, at times I'll shorten practices. Generally, we practice 2 hours. We may go an hour and a half. We may add an extra day off because, you know, you can go really hard in January and February and your team's done. And so our goal from a coaching standpoint is to monitor the burnout and make sure that they're fresh when they need to be fresh. Because, you know, it's nice to win in March, but if you peak in March, you're not peaking at the right time. So, you know, the players know mentally we're going as far as we can, and we got to be prepared to go through May 23rd. And so that's the way we prepared for the season. And that's the way we managed the workload. Yeah.
Well, you all will be preparing for May 4th first. That will be when you kind of find where everything has settled with the regional
Yes.
selection show. You'll be in, but you don't exactly know where you'll fall or what things will look like. How do you kind of prepare them for that decision and that selection show? And then, once you kind of know where your fate lies, how do you prepare for that opponent?
Yeah, I mean, we have an idea. I think we're probably going to be second. So they're prepared for anything. We're ready to play everyone. So we know we're going to get in. We have a pretty good idea who we're going to play, but there's another conference still has a tournament, so we're not sure. So for this second seed, it looks like we may be the second seed right now. We're not sure who the 7th seed. There's a number of teams that could be there, and so we're just ready to play anybody. We're excited to see where that is. We're hoping we get the host. On a side note, we're also hoping the men's team right now, they've got the last spot, and we'd like to see them keep that spot, and we're looking forward to that as well.
Well, Jeff, we are also looking forward to that. We like to see as many G-MAC teams in those regional tournaments as we can on both the men's and the women's side. But we certainly want to send you all congratulations again for winning the G-MAC tournament title, and best of luck to your women and hopefully your men as the postseason rolls on.
All right. Well, thank you. I enjoyed this, and let's hope we can get a couple more teams on the women's side in from the conference. We've got so many strong teams, and then on the men's side, I'd love to have 3 teams because we'll be the 3rd. So, yeah. All right. Thank you.